and welcome to another episode of the Roll-Wise Show, the place where we play all kinds of role-playing games. Today, we're going to be diving into Daggerheart, the newish game. It's actually been out for a tiny bit of time now, I guess. The newish game from Darrington Press that was created by lead designer Spencer Stark, as well as kind of an all-star cast of people was involved in the creation of the game. We did do some play testing a while back, and we thought it was about time, now that the book has been released, that we revisited it, see how the game came out, what the finished product looks like, and see how one of these new competitors for D&D did. So tonight we're going to be making some characters, and we're going to be getting ready to play a short adventure using one of the Pathfinder adventures, Menace under Otari from the beginner box that they offer, and then of course see how well it ports out to other settings, or how well you can adjust the settings to another setting to kind of use the Pathfinder rules and all that stuff. So I'm kind of excited. You guys ready to kick this off?
Yeah.
Well, then let's do it. So so today in character creation, so the first thing is that when you actually buy the Daggerheart book, really the idea about playing any game is that you're going to sit down with your players and you're going to kind of go through that pitching session. Like, as a DM, I want to play a game that does X, and with your players and specifically in this particular system, it's going to want you to do a lot of work with your players in order to get them to kind of collaborate on creating the story, the fiction, the world, everything kind of around it, because this is a game that definitely promotes collaborative play, world building, and all that stuff. That includes like you guys actually creating sites, organizations, things, NPCs, all that. And some people are more into that than others. So I don't know. I don't know how much that part of it is necessarily like important for what we're going to be doing. But the idea is that it does have some really good tools to think about. How do you pitch your games? What are you considering for your games? How do you properly get your players in the right mindset for the game? So that when you as the GM says, hey, I have an idea for a game, the players walk away going, oh, well, you explained your game in a way that I could create a character for, and I didn't create a character that was a mismatch for the game, right? Have you guys had that experience in the past where you guys have created a character and it was just not at all prepared for the game because it just didn't fit? Like you were Thorax the Barbarian and it was tea time stories.
I mean, no, I think if you have a strong session one, usually you can hammer that out before. I'm usually pretty permissive when I let people play. I usually don't limit very much stuff, and if I do, it's for a clear reason. So yeah, I haven't really had that. I really haven't. I've made characters that didn't fit in other people's games, but I haven't ever ran a game, I don't think, where I was able to work a character in.
Were those accidental or intentional?
I'm usually just a problem player. They were accidental, usually.
Well, I guess I didn't. Not that you were trying to cause trouble, but you intentionally designed the character that way, and then it just wound up not fitting.
Well, I made this halfling barbarian once that didn't fit into a game at all. So
okay,
he just died immediately.
Yeah, I've probably had a few. I think I've even played some one shots where some of the pre-gen characters were obviously the one you were only supposed to pick if you were the sixth person at the table. Because they were literally just support.
It was the character that was
do anything on their own.
It was the character that was supposed to be played if everybody else died. I mean, there's characters that were definitely problematic. I think the character I made for the Fabula Ultima game, being an animal, was sort of problematic at times, and definitely not what I expected of the character.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and and sometimes even if you think you're on the right track, you find a character that you don't like based on how the game how the game plays, that it's not exactly how you expected it to play, and all those kind of things. So at least for this though, let's start with kind of a basic premise about it, just so that when we talk about it, you guys understand what we're getting into. And I've kind of framed this around exploring the way that they used their campaign frames, because I do like their campaign frames. If you go to the kind of the back of the book, this is something that I don't think it's necessarily new, but it's at least well executed for this, so that you as the new GM, or if this is kind of your first time doing it, there are 6 steps to really framing your campaign for your players. And the first one is to kind of pitch your campaign. I always think that like an elevator pitch for your campaign, just so the players kind of get the shortest, the quickest summary of a sense of what they're doing, is a good idea. Then, of course, you provide them the foundations, give them an overview, give them player principles. You can even share the GM principles. So like in this case, if it's your first time playing Daggerheart, you may want the players to understand what your perspective is. I think that's kind of neat, because sometimes, there's that, I always feel like there's that group of people that always feel like it's players versus the GM. That's how they kind of believe role playing is. But this at least will tell you and have that transparency as to, with the rules as written, this is what I'm attempting to do. And then, of course, you have any campaign mechanics and stuff like that you've designed specifically for the campaign and all that stuff. And then, of course, you guide their characters through character creation. You build a map together, and that's, adding locations collectively from either an available list or your imagination and all that. Then you run your session zeros, begin your adventure, and have an inciting incident. Woo! Inciting incident sounds really fun. So have something blow up in their face is kind of the first thing that happens. I feel like that's every adventure, though. Just something happens.
You need to have a starting spot, and that's usually inciting incident. It's just their buzzword for make something happen to pull the players in.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So in this case, kind of my elevator pitch was, beneath the sleepy coastal town of Otari, something stirs. Strange noises echo from the fisheries basement, and townsfolk whisper of missing supplies. You've been asked to investigate, but what begins as something simple errand quickly unravels into descent in the darkness. Are you ready? ...
That sounds too much like an elder god. I think we skip this one. All right, we move on to the next town. I don't think at level 1 we're ready for Cthulhu.
It's Cthulhu's cousin, Cthulhu.
See, that's the trick, is you're never ready for Cthulhu, really.
No, that's true. Even at level 30, but at least at level 30, I might be able to talk myself into. I can last for a little bit.
Yeah. So that's kind of the elevator pitch to kind of like get you started into this. And honestly, pitches should be short. They shouldn't be long. But here's why I always have a little bit of trouble is like, how much meta do you incorporate into that? Like, how much of the preview do you give in your pitch? I'm not sure I know that yet, but that's just kind of the beginning. Then, of course, the tone and the feel for this, really, it's small town charm, dungeon mystery. It's kind of your classic fantasy, because it is Pathfinder. It is a Pathfinder-esque setting. And then, of course, hopefully this will be a fun story where you get to go into a dungeon and find some things that are very dungeony. And last but not least, themes and touchstones. As I was reading this, I think that this is, very much a discovery and exploration type thing, as well as if you go with how the adventure is written, there's a little bit of community and responsibility. Like, you're helping your fellow Otari person. You're supposed to have an NPC that's kind of a friend that says, hey, you know what? The guards are really busy protecting people outside of town. I could really use some help investigating this thing. And then, of course, you guys go do your thing. And then, of course, there's a few different TV shows that could easily have inspired this. I'm not going to say Goonies, but maybe. We'll see.
But you mean Goonies?
It could be. I always feel like, whenever the adventure is just like, hey, could you check out what's happening downstairs? And it's like, you enter into a dungeon, you're like, what the fuck just happened? Although I haven't seen Goonies in like 20 some odd years. So other than a big pirate ship and some very strange things happening, I'm not sure I remember every little detail of the story. So,
Yeah, you don't, because they don't go in their basement and go into a dungeon.
no.
Yeah, I was a little confused.
They go to a tavern and then the convicts chase them into the tunnel under the place.
See, but there was a tunnel under a place. That's the important connection.
Well, I mean, tunnels by definition are usually under places.
That's fine. It's fine. So the idea is that, like I said, this is kind of a simple adventure. Depending on how much you want to role play, because it does feel as though, as I was reading Daggerheart, there's a lot of encouragement to role play, which is more than just swing your sword and do all that stuff. So how do you connect with your community? How do you connect your character and all that all that is very important to how you design your character and how you play the game. So with that being said, since we're going to be using a Pathfinder adventure as inspiration for this, and we're going to be using the town of Otari, it does really allow for a huge number of characters and communities and ancestries and all that stuff. Because and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be the guy that says I am an expert in all things Pathfinder, but I would say that Pathfinder, as from our experience playing it, has a huge diversity in races that you can play or ancestors, whatever you want to call it. Very distinct areas of the world have easily connectable communities that you could use, and they even have something called the Darklands. So if you're looking for your Underborn types or anything like that, there's a way to connect them to everything there. So and Absalom is literally just around the corner from Otari, so you could easily be a noble that's been exiled out of the city or something like that for your highborn characters.
Not a highborn character, so we're covered.
Right on. So did you guys, so in this, what they look at is they look at like character concepts. Did you guys have at least like a high level concept of something that was guiding your thought process?
You mean other than Fungal Druid? Because that's what my character concept is.
Well, did you have like an inspiration for it? Because I was actually surprised. There was a section of Baldur's Gate 3 that had a lot of mushroom people in it, which
not really.
I was like, oh.
It just sounded interesting.
Sure.
And you usually play the mushroom characters, so I thought I would help you this time.
You know what? I'm not gonna. Okay, yeah, that's fair. I would vehemently deny it, but I really can't.
At least in 2 of the games that I've run, you've been mushroom characters.
That's true.
Spores and mushrooms. I have a problem, I guess. What about you, Jeff? Did you have a high level concept or?
I didn't have a high level concept. I'm going to be honest. I am not often struck that way when sitting down to a game.
Mm-hmm.
I've lightened up a little bit over the years, but one of my like overguiding things is to trying to have a party that like could survive any sort of conflicts. Mm-hmm. So I usually try to find something that meshes well with what's already been chosen. And like this time, I think I'm just playing a character that I haven't played for a long time because I played them, it seemed like, every other game for years. So I'm going to play a ranger, a semi ranger.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a high level at all. That's just not usually how I think about it.
Sure.
No.
Okay. Well,
I guess from in reading what they like want from character concept, mm-hmm. I guess the thought of my character is sort of just like a wandering druid who goes place to place, helping make the world better. That's
so you're kung fu?
Well, no, I'm a hippie, kind of.
Hippie kung fu?
No, mostly just hippie. A fungus hippie.
A fungus hippie. Okay.
You're a fun guy, you mean?
Fun guy. Fungril. Fungril is what they're called, I think.
I know.
Right? Is that right?
Yeah, that is. the less fun way of putting it, I guess. But so as you heard, we've got two of the classes kind of locked in, Druid and Ranger. However, there are several other classes that you can choose, as well as they are currently developing additional classes as part of a supplement called the Void. I don't know much about the Void yet. I haven't really read up on it, but in the core book, you have your bards, your druids, your guardians. Your guardians are kind of a knight that's a protector of the realms type, and you can either play as a stalwart or a vengeance with that, and they're like, the stalwart is your quintessential tank, and all that kind of stuff. You have your ranger, you have a rogue, you have a seraph. Seraph is another class that kind of doesn't really have an exact analog in D&D or Pathfinder that I'm aware of, but it is kind of a divine class. Winged Sentinel, you want to take flight, use holy words and all that stuff. Or Divine Wielders is you have a kind of like a legendary holy weapon kind of thing. Then you have a sorcerer, a warrior, and a wizard. Now, of course, because this game is different than other games, those classes on the surface, having a same name as another class from another system, is probably a start. But once you start to get into the mechanics, as we'll dive into the druid and the ranger, you'll notice that there'll be some choices that you make to make your character more unique and personalize it for yourself. So once you choose your class, you're going to get into choosing a subclass. So Brent, between druid, you have a warden of the elements and warden of renewal. Since you're the wandering hippie, which one? Renewal, are you thinking?
No. The hippie was kind of a joke. It's more like learning about the earth and stuff like that. So they're the elemental, the warden of the elements.
Okay, sounds good. And for the ranger, the subclass that you were going to choose, Jeff, was going to be
Wayfinder.
Okay. Now let's go break these down just a little bit. So the druids, so basically druids have a few different things. Let's talk about the summary here. What would be the best, do you think? The class features and then the subclass features? What do you think would be the good things to cover, guys?
Well, the class features are Beast Form and Wild Touch. Beast Form is the shape-changing ability, which they took on you kind of have templates for different animals that you can be for tier 1. And there's different tiers based on level. And then Wild Touch is basically like a cantrip from D&D, where you can do small, subtle elemental effects, like make flowers grow or start a fire, summon a gust of wind. And then the foundation features under the Warden of Elements are all different elemental ones. You can do, there's the damage shield with fire. You can gain more damage thresholds with earth, water. You can move people around. It sounds like in air, you can gain an advantage on ability rolls. And then their specialization feature all involves elements as well, and similar kind of bonuses that way.
All right. And so we'll talk more about the mechanics of how those are used, because the foundation feature, for example, marks stress in order to use those. And then you can use the elements until you reach a severe damage or until your next rest kind of thing. So it doesn't really use like a per day, if that makes sense. It doesn't say you can use this foundation feature one time per day. It says it's basically use it as long as you have the resources to use it.
Yeah, you can use stress or hope for the beast shape.
Mm-hmm. And then for the Ranger Wayfinder, what are their hope features, class features, and foundation features and stuff like that?
For the Ranger, their hope feature is hold them off, spend 3 hope when you succeed on an attack with a weapon, to use that same roll against 2 additional adversaries within range of the attack. The class feature is Ranger's Focus. Spend a hope and make an attack against a target. On a success, deal your attack's normal damage and temporarily make the attack's target your focus. Till this feature ends or you make a different creature your focus, you gain the following benefits. You know precisely what direction they are in. When you deal damage to them, they must mark a stress. When you fail an attack against them, you can end your ranger's focus feature to re-roll your duality dice. And then for the Wayfinder, the foundation feature is Ruthless Predator. When you make a damage roll, you can mark a stress to gain a +1 bonus to your proficiency. Additionally, when you deal severe damage to an adversary, they must mark a stress. And Path Forward. When you're traveling to a place you've previously visited where you carry an object that has been at the location before, you can identify the shortest, most direct path to your destination. There's a specialization feature for Elusive Predator. When your focus makes an attack against you, you gain a +2 bonus to your evasion against the attack. And a mastery feature of Apex Predator. Before you make an attack roll against your focus, you can spend a hope. On a successful attack, you remove a fear from the GM's fear pool.
Okay. Pretty good. I have to say, and I think that foundation feature is what you get right out of the gate. I'll have to double check when the specialization and then the other features come out. But okay, so the two classes we've got. I mean, it sounds like you guys need a lot of healing potions. We'll see. That'll be fine. But between the ranger and the druid, I think that'll give us some different classes that we don't typically use. And in this game, the one thing I think that we didn't mention is that each of the different classes that have spellcasting abilities is they do have a spellcasting trait. In this case, the spellcasting trait for druid is going to be instinct, and for ranger, it's going to be agility. So if there is a situation in which something asks for you to use your spellcasting trait, or I'm sorry, agility, it will use your agility roll, and that's different than your proficiency. So the next thing that we do is once you have your class and your subclass all selected, you will get a character sheet that's specific to your class. Now that's something that's a little bit different than other games that we've played, is that there's kind of a generic character sheet unless somebody in the community has generated something that's kind of a specific class sheet. I know like back in D&D you could get like a caster sheet where they had like tons of spell listings and stuff like that, whereas a fighter was just, you know, a cocktail napkin. They're like, here's your sword, here's your dice that you roll, move on. But in this case, every class does have a character sheet that you can print. Now, you can also go to Demiplane and do a lot of this stuff digitally on Demiplane. And when you're done, you can actually export the character sheet. However, now that it's actually in the real live version of the game, you do have to have a purchased copy, it seems, of Daggerheart on Demiplane in order to access the character creation tools. Now, I didn't buy Daggerheart through Demiplane. I got a hard copy. So unless I'm missing something, I didn't see any kind of like Demiplane code or anything like that for me to unlock that content online. You can do the quick start stuff on there. So if any abilities or traits or classes and all that stuff that are part of the quick start do look like they're available for you to test out and try, though. All right. So once you've got your character sheet, you start filling out your character and everything like that. And you're going to record your level as level 1. Now, I think in this game, level 1 doesn't mean you're a peasant that just picked up your sword for the first time. It still means you're a competent adventurer. It just means that you're starting off at that tier 1 level of play, kind of introductory tier. Now, from a D&D standpoint, I know that, you know, many of us have a feeling that starting off at level 1 D&D just kind of doesn't feel very heroic. It feels like your tutorial levels to kind of like learn how to play. So I'm not sure. We'll find out if that feels the same here, where the game actually opens up at a different tier of play as opposed to this. But because you've already selected your subclass and everything like that, you've already kind of got the concept of your character in place. Whereas in D&D, you didn't really become your character till what, level 3? That's the joke. So
yeah, that's when you get your subclasses.
Yeah, and I mean, even there's even a YouTube channel, XP to level 3 is out there. So, all right. So the once you start getting, your character concept and everything like that more fleshed out, you'll include all of your character details on that, and we'll look at those in just a little bit. And then, of course, the nice benefit by using a class-specific character sheet is that the features that you use, you can select them by just using the character sheet itself. So now the character's heritage. Now, the heritage is actually going to be comprised of two components. You're going to have your ancestry and your community, as well as your, of course, languages and stuff like that. But ancestry, in this, they actually have 18 ancestries to choose from. Plus, you can mix and match if you decide to do a mixed ancestry. So it's pretty impressive, in my opinion, to start off with so much variety, to be able to kind of create a character that you feel like you could play. But what about you guys? Did you guys have a chance to look through the ancestries, and what did you guys think about them?
I think they're interesting because there are a lot of non-standard fantasy ones. You don't have very many games where you can play like a fawn, a satyr, or a rabbit, or not a rabbit, a frog, ribbit. That's what it is.
A ribbit.
One letter. Yeah, it does change. Yep. So the fawn, the ribbit, and of course, being able to play goblins is always a nice thing. I know you played a goblin in a Pathfinder game. That was kind of a fun thing.
They're a little different than other goblins. They're like fuzzy and cute, which the Pathfinder goblins aren't.
No, they have big teeth, big smiles. Yeah. And so, Jeff, what about you? Did you take a look at the races and find a race you gelled with?
I'm going to try Simia.
Okay.
I think I'm pronouncing that right.
I assume that if it's
Maybe
Simia sounds probably good. So, okay. So Brent was going to play the Fungril. Jeff was going to play the Simia. And of the other heritages that we didn't, or the ancestors didn't choose, there's a Clank, which is kind of an intelligent automaton. There's a Dracona. It's kind of like a dragon race. Dwarf, elf, fairy, fawn, furbolg, galapa, a turtle people, giant, goblin, halfling, human, infernus, kind of like a tiefling analog. Copyright protected tiefling analog. A Otari, with kind of a cat people, orc, ribbit, the frog people, and the Simia, of course. So,
and the fae are the fairies are kind of bug people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The thing, and so as we kind of create this, the one thing that's kind of neat about the permission that they provide within the book and everything like that is they say flavor the game how you want it to be flavored. Just mechanically, it's going to be the same. They really put a lot of emphasis on you playing that visually. They want you to visually be able to create the kind of character and have the character behave how you want it to, even if mechanically everyone plays a similarly way. So, all right. And so let's go to Fungril first. Fungril. So tell us about the Fungril.
The Fungril are giant funguses.
Okay.
They're mushroom people, basically. They humanoid mushrooms. They can either be more humanoid or fungal in appearance, which I haven't decided yet. They can come in lots of different colors. They range from 2 feet to 7 feet, which seems to be the standard of most of the classes in the game, I've noticed. Like, I think I was reading the fairies earlier, and they can be from 2 feet to 7 feet too. They live a long time. The most important, their ancestry features are the fungal network, which I can use to speak to a mycelial array to speak to others of my ancestry. And a death connection. While touching a corpse that died recently, I can mark stress and extract a memory from the corpse, a specific emotion or sensation. So
that's kind of a cool, that like whole Death Eater thing where they're like, oh, I'll just take one of those. And I also like the main image on there. It very much gave me like a happy Papa Nurgle vibes. I don't know why, but it's just like, kind of the big, like, oh, I'm happy mushroom and all that stuff.
I do like the art for the Fungril. I think that's one thing that definitely drew me to it, and it's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's cool too because they say that this is such a varied race, and then they gave you tons of ways in which you can have examples of how they're varied and how they can look and all that kind of stuff, which I thought is very helpful for, kind of sparking your own ideas regarding it. Jeff, moving on to the Simia, which it's interesting that they don't provide any kind of pronunciation guide, but that's okay. What about the Simia? Let's talk about them. Can you give us a breakdown in their ancestry features?
Yeah. They resemble anthropomorphic monkeys and apes with long limbs and prehensile feet. Their appearance reflects all simian creatures. Their size doesn't align with their animal counterparts. They can be anywhere from 2 to 6 feet. They can all use their dexterous feet for nonverbal communication, work, and combat. Additionally, some have prehensile tails. They can grasp objects or help with balance. These traits grant members of this ancestry unique agility that aids them in a variety of physical tasks. Skilled climbers easily transition from bipedal movement to knuckle walking and climbing and back again. So their ancestry features are natural climber. You have advantage on agility rolls that involve balancing and climbing, and nimble, which gain a permanent +1 bonus to your evasion at character creation.
And we'll talk a little bit more about what evasion is in just a moment, I believe. But two unique characters two unique characters that we've got started so far. I like it. All right. So once you've got your ancestry, your community, and everything like that, they do have a little blurb about languages. Now, you're not asked to really pick specific languages for your character. The game is assuming that everyone is going to have a common language that they speak. And I think that that's common enough in every game that we've ever really played that language hasn't really mattered unless it was like, oh, you're in a temple, then you want to understand an ancient language or something. We don't have a party that all speaks different languages.
Or if you shapeshift into a heritage and then don't speak their language and you're trying to infiltrate a group. That has come up before.
It has. But I think that if you obviously if you have your own languages that you want to incorporate into your game, or if you are using another setting that already has established languages, there's nothing that stops you from deciding how that could all fit. So next, we're going to assign character traits. Now, this is something that I liked that what they did.
We got to pick our community first.
Oh, shit. Yes. I just jumped right past the community. Next, you'll choose community. There are 9 communities. There's Highborn, Loreborn, Orderborn, Ridgeborn, Seaborn, Slyborn, which is kind of like, seedy underworldy type. Underborn, Wanderborn, and Wildborn. Underborn being kind of like actually underground. Now, the community, in terms of like what a community is and everything like that, it's exactly as it sounds. You belong to a certain group of people, whether that is a city, whether that is a certain type, but they all tend to follow under a certain, they have certain shared traits, and that's what these communities comprise. And the community themselves actually give you additional, what are they called? They are called, I forgot what they're called. They're called features. So the community feature is something that as a member of this community, you can do. So like a Highborn, for example, is kind of a noble-esque character. So your community feature is privilege. You have the advantage on rolls to consort with nobles, negotiate prices, or leverage your reputation to get what you want. And each community has this. Now, with the different communities, because they're so kind of generic and open, you can easily assign a community type to different groups within your campaign. So you can easily weave these into the story that you're telling. So of those communities, what did you guys think fit your characters?
I thought Wildborn fit mine.
I picked Underborn for mine.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about the Wildborn, Jeff, and what is their community feature?
All right. The Wildborn means you live deep within the forest. They're defined by their dedication to the conservation of their homelands and have strong religious or cultural ties to the fauna they live among. This results in unique architecture and technological advancements that favor sustainability over short-term high-yield results. They integrate their villages and cities with the natural environment and avoid disturbing the lives of the plants and animals. While some construct their lodgings high in the branches of trees, others establish their homes in the ground beneath the forest canopy. They remain reclusive and hidden within their woodland homes. And their community feature is Lightfoot. Your movement is naturally silent. You have advantage on rolls to move without being heard.
And they do also give some suggestions on personality types. Like Wildborn are often hardy, loyal, nurturing, reclusive, sagacious, and vibrant.
Yes.
So that's kind of some nice stuff to give there too. So, and then you said, Brent, you were which?
Underborn.
Okay.
Yep. Which is kind of what it says. Underborn live in cities and villages and other collectives. Kind of cave dwelling, which I thought was fitting for mushroom people. Their kind of traits that are suggested are composed, elusive, indomitable, innovative resources, and unpretentious. And their community features low light living. When you're in an area with low light or heavy shadow, you have advantage on rolls to hide, investigate, or perceive details within that area.
Okay. All right. Okay. So once you have your community all sorted out, and you've selected your community feature, and we've decided that we have a common language in this for our group. I don't think we're going to go too deep on languages this adventure. Then you'll move to character traits. Now we're back. So the character traits, this is going to be something that's a little bit different, and I think this follows in with some of our favorite character creation process, is that you have a certain number of modifiers to distribute among 6 different traits. Now you have agility, which is kind of like your sprinting, leaping, maneuvering. You have your strength, which is lifting, smashing, and grappling. Finesse, which is your control, hide, and tinkering. Instinct, which is your perceive, sense, and navigate. Presence, which is charm, perform, and deceive. And knowledge, which is recall, analyze, and comprehend. Now, what you guys are going to do is you're going to distribute the following modifiers among the 6 traits. You have 1 plus 2, 2 plus 1, 2 plus 0, and 1 minus 1. And so whatever you really want to be good at, that is going to be the one that you'll put your plus 2 in. And of course, the one you feel less effective.
The character sheets actually have a suggestion towards the bottom of how to
Oh, do they? Did I miss that?
I don't
I
know.
just want to see what the suggestion was.
I don't know if you're using the same one as me, but yeah, it does. If you
suggested traits on the second page.
Yep.
Agility, strength, finesse, instinct, presence, knowledge.
Yep.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. So it just, if you want to know what helps the class the most, the suggested traits are there. That doesn't mean you have to. This game isn't.
No, I moved mine around a little bit.
No, I'm definitely putting my plus 2 in presence.
That's right.
That seems like it makes all the difference for a ranger.
Put it in the thing that doesn't affect your character at all.
Exactly.
I'm gonna put my plus 2 in knowledge for my guardian next time.
Knowledge of how they'll beat me up. Okay. So when you guys have your stuff distributed, let me know and I'll talk about the next
Yep. I'm done.
Character sheets.
I'm done.
So next we get into the additional character information. The first thing is evasion. Your character's evasion reflects how hard it is for adversaries to hit them. Each class has a starting evasion that appears right beneath the evasion field. You'll copy that number into the spot of the character sheet. And then when an adversary makes an attack against your character, the GM rolls against their evasion to see if the adversary succeeds. You can choose how your character's evasion manifests in the narrative. A wizard might avoid blows with shimmering arcane shields or bat away an adversary spells, while a ranger nimbly dodges out of the way, grabs something, in the rafters and moves and all that kind of stuff. As Jeff has a +1 to evasion, naturally, by being a simia, that would increase that, making it harder for him to be hit.
So I go from 12 to 13.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like everybody, 12 to 13. Okay, got it.
Yeah, and the evasion goes. It's got quite a range there. Like for example, the Guardian's starting evasion is 9. but I think their attempt at having a lot more armor is where they think they're going to be spending their stuff, supposedly. I think that's what when we last went through that was kind of the thought process behind it. And then after evasion, you have hit points and stress. Your hit points are going to be shorthand to HP, and they're the abstract reflection of your physical fortitude and ability to take hits. And each class starts with a certain number of hit points. And stress reflects your ability to withstand the pressures of dangerous situations and mental strain. And every class starts with 6 stress. Now, they're basically those are two ways in which your character can get knocked down, dragged about, and all of those kind of things. Just depends on really how you're, how you want to envision it. But hit points being physical, stress being mental, that kind of stuff. Now, the one thing is that hit points, at least when we were doing this last time, there was a little bit of a process to go through hit points. So I think we'll probably explore that more in play. But for right now, the Ranger had 6 hit points to start with, and the Druid had 6 hit points to start with as well.
Okay. But we don't mark those that we...
You just tick them off in the boxes. You don't really have to write them down. If you're using the one that they come with, it looks like it's pre-done for you.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought.
Yep. Basically, the squares past your hit point allocation are going to be the ticked,
the dotted
boxes.
lines. Yeah. Okay.
And then you will have hope and fear. Now, hope and fear are important currencies in Daggerheart. The hope is going to be the player currency, and fear is going to be the GM currency. You all start with 2 hope, and so you'll be marking those in the hope fields on your character sheet. And anytime you roll with hope on the duality dice, and the duality dice are the 2d12 that you use to make most of your checks, you will earn a hope. And that is, and I should say, we'll roll with hope is anytime you roll your hope die and it's higher than your fear die, you gain a hope up to a maximum of 6. Now, during the game, you can spend hope in a variety of ways. Some of those can be as simple as being able to use an experience in making a roll. You can spend a hope to assist other players. You can spend hope to activate character abilities and stuff like that. There's a lot of ways in which hope is used to help the players. Now, if you instead roll with fear, meaning that you roll 2d12 and the fear die is higher than your hope die, that means that you give me a fear token that I can spend to achieve certain effects. Now, rolling with fear or hope does not mean you succeed or fail. They just apply to the currency, the meta currency of the game. You can still succeed with fear and fail with hope. Just an FYI. All right. So any questions on those? You guys got those?
Yep.
Okay. Next, choose your starting equipment. Now, in the character sheet and everything like that, I'm not sure if it actually has starting equipment, does it?
It has with suggestions, yes.
Yeah.
Which is what I
took
as my character.
Yep. So suggested primary weapon and suggested armor. So to make it easier, that would probably be the easiest way to do it, is to take their suggested. Now, I know when I was on Demiplane, it basically gave you like a choice, or it gave you like 2 options or whatever it was, but then you could, of course, choose anything you wanted if you didn't want to choose this suggested. And for beginning characters at tier 1, you would use there is a tier 1 list of equipment that you can go through if you would instead like to look at all of the equipment and choose. And you basically go to the primary weapon table, secondary weapon table, and all that stuff. Now, the one thing that's important is at level 1, your proficiency is also 1. This means that when you succeed at hitting something, you roll 1 damage. You'll roll 1 die of damage with that. So as your proficiency increases, as your character levels goes up, a lot of these are simply their damage is like D10 plus 3. If your proficiency is 3, you'll roll 3d10 plus 3, and that'll be your overall damage. And on armor, are you guys ready for armor or no?
I'm just taking the suggestion, so I'm just copying down what they have. So
Yeah, me too. So
Okay.
go ahead.
So basically, armor is used to reduce the severity of incoming attacks. So at character creation, you choose one set of armor and equip it. You can find armor suggestions in the same place. But there is also a tier 1 set of armor that if you want to look at those armor tables, you can, and you can select appropriately. Now, the armor's damage is basically an armor's damage thresholds, basically shown in the base thresholds comment, indicate how much damage a character can endure before marking hit points. So add your character's level to both values and record this total for both numbers in the corresponding fields. In the hit point and damage thresholds section of chapter 2, they explain more. So that way. So when you look at like the example character, you'll see like your minor damage, your major damage, and all of that stuff. Yeehaw.
do you have basic supplies as well, Brent?
I have what they suggested, which is torch, 50 feet of rope, and basic supplies. Yes. It also said I could have 1 minor health potion, and then my class thing is a bag full of small bones and rocks.
Did you get a handful of gold?
I got 1 handful of gold as well.
So did I. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm figuring that basic supplies is going to be a lot of things.
Ration pack, probably.
Straight
I think
razor,
it's- I'll
cooking pot.
I'll double check and see
anything
what it
that I
is.
need that I can argue is basic.
Well, and if it's anything like, Fabio Ultima was really fun because it's like, well, don't mark everything on your inventory, just pull it out of your hat if it's a normal thing. Like you're an adventurer, don't worry about, oh, do you have a pots and pans? Of course you do. You're an adventurer. You know to bring these things.
Right.
Whereas Mike, the non-adventurer, may not know to bring these things sometimes. Okay. Once you're done with your starting equipment and armor and everything like that, now, and just so you guys know, according to this, and this is the part that's fun, basic supplies means tent, bedroll, tinderbox, rations, etc. So there's probably a lot that goes under the umbrella of etc.
No, I honestly, I think it's there just for storytelling purposes. Like nobody's going to argue that you don't have a teapot in your pack. Like if it thematically kind of makes sense with the character and the flair that you're trying to achieve. If I said that I had a 50 caliber machine gun in my pack, that's probably past basic supplies.
Lightsaber.
Oh, wait, I didn't. Oh, the lightsaber is much more portable. I'd say that is a basic supply.
There you go.
etc. Etc. is doing a lot of heavy lifting here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now, of course, if there is anything special that doesn't seem like it's covered under this, though, like that teapot suggestion that you had, there's going to be things that I'm not going to really fight about or anything like that.
Well, hopefully we're not going to pull something stupid out of our butts. But I'm like, oh, I have a small travel pillow. You're not going to go, whoa. That's ridiculous.
Small travel pillow. It's just, what do you think this is? A 5-star inn?
Exactly. Yeah.
So the one thing I did want to mention is that in this game, much like when we were doing the play test, they decided to make gold a narrative choice.
I see that.
Hence a handful and a bag.
Yeah,
a bag
Handful
and a
bag
chest.
and chest.
Yep. So just so everybody's aware, if you just go with this the straight up rules as written, it's default approach. Gold is measured in handfuls, bags, and chests, with 10 handfuls to 1 bag, and 10 bags to 1 chest. And when you've marked all the slots in the category, you gain another gold reward in that category. So basically, once you achieve 10, you say now you have a chest or whatever. The value of gold is abstracted, so you don't need to track it precisely. So if your character walks into an inn, and it's like, I order a beer or something like that, or an ale, I don't go, well, that's 2 copper. You just flick the appropriate amount of coinage there, and there's really a determination if that's enough coinage to mark a handful. You know what I'm saying? Like, Did you buy
Basically, your
everybody in
GM
the air?
decides if it's enough or not.
Yeah. Now there is an optional rule for gold coins that if you do want some granularity to it, you can add a lower limit where 10 gold coins equals one handful, and then of course it's tens. It's the 10 step after that point, which up to you. We could go with the abstract coin thing. It's not a big deal for me.
I think we just abstract it. I don't think we're going to be playing any stupid money games.
It'll be fine until it's not.
Unless you tell us that goblin swords are worth a bag of gold.
Yeah, this may avoid that a little bit.
He flicks you a couple of coins and says, "That's it for the slag metal." Yeah, that's how your goblin swords are going to go. That's right. So now we're getting close to the actual end of the character creation process. There's only four more steps. Now you're going to create your background. Now, the background is going to be kind of a set of questions in the character guide to help you, kind of get more into the character and everything like that. And these questions are purely narrative. So how you answer these, though, is going to help me understand what the character looks like, how you feel the character is going to be played, and what kind of things are there. So in the Druid's case, for example, your background questions are: why was the community you grew up in so reliant on nature and its creatures? Who was the first wild animal you bonded with, and why did your bond end? Who is trying to hunt you? Why do they want from you? So the kind of gives you
those are the suggested questions. You also can change them if you'd like. It says you can create your own.
Mm-hmm.
You can.
Yep. And so, like, if you wanted to, you said you were
I'm going to need time to write these, so this might be better not now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, of course, if you want, you can provide additional context from a GM's perspective. And this is something in the campaign frames that they do, is that, they give you some extra questions that you can ask that may help, of course, expand yourself within the, expand your role within the current adventure and stuff like that. For example. Yeah. So we can, how about this? How about you guys share those with me offline, and then we'll share those with the.
Yeah, they're basically writing prompts, so they may take a little thought.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
I may change one of them. I don't think I'm changing all three, but I may add some different flavor.
Yeah. And then we can also discuss the other three questions, which are for the other players in the game, and go over those at the beginning of our next session.
Yep. So, and the connections, the types of questions that it has, for example, the Ranger is like, what friendly competition do we have? Why do you act differently when we're alone than when others are around? What threat have you asked me to watch for, and why are you worried about it? And so it just, again, they're more narrative, and hopefully what you can do as a GM is incorporate some of these answers into how the play and the feel of the game goes.
Sure.
Okay. So that is your background, and your technically step 9 is your connections and all that stuff, but we're going to go with create our experience now. Now, experiences is one of the ways in which you express your backstory in Daggerheart. Now, an experience is a word or a short phrase. I'll throw the R in there this time. And it's used to encapsulate a specific set of skills that your character has acquired over the course of their life. Now, you get 2 experiences of character creation, each with a +2 modifier, and they'll earn more throughout adventures, and you can create experiences to kind of like, based on how you progress your character through the different tiers and everything like that. Now, experiences are a little freeform. So this is one thing that I could probably imagine would be a little challenging for a new player that may not have a solid grasp as to what they want your character to have as experience. But they're part flavor, part mechanics, and so These suggest things like experience examples, like a background would be an assassin, blacksmith, bodyguard, bounty hunter, chef of the royal family, or a specialist like an acrobat, a gambler, a healer, an inventor. And so then when a situation arose in which you feel that experience would be helpful, you could spend your hope and use your experience.
Oh, this does require hope be spent to use one of these experiences.
As far as that's what I read.
I'm just double checking. I haven't read it, but that makes
I haven't read it either.
Because
I was aware that they existed, but
because I was wondering if this was like fate features, where it's basically like narratively make that fit wherever you can, so you get a bonus. But I mean, hope is pretty fluid, so you probably could use it pretty often.
And I think that, because in this game you want roles to really matter. So like there's probably a level of, well, I am a healer. So you go over and you look and you're like, oh, I immediately notice that they have gangrene. Now, knowing what they have versus healing it are going to be two different things. And
sure.
All that stuff.
So if I identify gangrene, I can get a +2 to that whenever I want.
Now, I feel like
makes sense to me. I'm just saying.
I'd have to spend hope. I'd have to spend hope to do it. So,
yeah. Let's see.
The examples are good. They give you a really good idea of what you can pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And kind of how to. This is a problem like in Unknown Armies First Edition. It was basically like just make up your own skills. Like if you have an idea, just do that. And it was like you just free-formed skills. So, and they didn't give you many ideas. So this is kind of neat that they give you an idea of what you should put in there.
Exactly.
And what's interesting is if you have two experiences that could overlap in a situation, you can add both experiences. You just have to pay one hope for each modifier to it. Now, the idea that the experiences are going to be mechanically oriented, they do warn you against doing that. Like saying you have an experience of one hit kill is not a great experience, like One Punch Man, something like that. So because that's not really.
It's not narrative. It's purely.
Yeah. Are you sure you have to spend hope on these?
That you do, because when you use your experience, before you make an action or reaction roll, you can spend a hope to add the experiences modifier to the roll's result. Sometimes more than one experience is good fit, and blah, blah, blah.
I have like 4 of the 6 experiences listed on this sheet that say permanently. Permanently gain a +1 bonus to your evasion. That does not sound like I have to spend hope to use that.
Let me take a look.
Sounds like I just get that.
Where is that?
At the bottom of the second page of my sheet, it's there's tier 2, levels 2 to 4. But it says choose 2 options from the list below and mark them. But they seem to be the experiences.
So what you're looking at, tier 2, levels 2 to 4, that's actually your level up track. And so each time you gain a level in the tier 2 category, you're going to choose 2 options from the list below and mark them. And so you can like when it says permanently gain +1 bonus to 2 experiences, that means you would take your 2 experiences that you have, and they would be +3 anytime you spent a hope to use them. Whereas what the experiences that you're going to be putting into your character sheet are going to be on page 1. There's under your hope track, there's a set of blank experience that you can fill in.
Okay.
And that's where you would.
And so where's the list? Where's the list for that? Because it's not under character creation.
It's in the actual book.
No, I know, but in the actual book, because I just went from doing my community to playing an adventure.
It's page 20, step 7.
Yeah, page
20.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where the?
Is it actually?
Okay, I do have some quibbles with the order of stuff.
21 in a PDF, I think, is what it is. So it's a step 7.
Distribute trait modifiers. Okay, evasion, hit point, stress, hope, and fear. Choose your weapons. Choose your armor.
Yeah, step 6 is
19. Create your background.
And then step 7.
Create your experiences. Okay.
Yeah. And then there's the examples. Sorry.
No, I just some of the way the book's laid out, like they have all this listed here, and then the next 50 pages is stuff about class and ancestry and community. Like there's I'm here, I got to go here, I got to go back up, I got to go down, I got to go back up.
You do bounce between the steps and the
some of this,
class.
some of this could have been done a little bit different, I think. But okay, thank you for pointing that out. I was wrong. I was confused. Just reading.
I do like the phrases though. First time's the charm, meaning that anytime it's your first time attempting something, like that could be seen as more mechanical though, I guess. I don't know. We'd have to see.
I will have to figure those out though. That's going to take a little bit of thought.
Yeah, and I don't think you need to put this right now, but by next week we should know.
Yeah.
And then of course so once we get to step 8, we have choose your domain cards, and domains are the building blocks of Daggerheart. So when you play in person, this game is very tactily satisfying because you have some very nice cards that go along with this that kind of have your community, your all that stuff, and so you can kind of lay out a nice spread, I guess would be the way to look at it. You can lay out a nice spread, so you can have a fairly fun looking space in front of you. But each domain deck has abilities and spells that are kind of like a centrally themed or focused. Now, the domains at the highest level is you have a total of 9 domains. You have Arcana, Blade, Bone, Codex, Grace, Midnight Sage, Splendor, and Valor. Now, each of them has like a certain kind of a certain space, and they're pretty much, if you look at the Daggerheart like imagery behind it, they're all on a wheel, and each of the classes fit within certain domains.
Yeah, they actually list them on the character sheet.
Yeah, they list them on the character sheet, and you can see what classes share domains and what domains they share, which I thought was kind of a neat thing. So there's no class that is the only holder of a certain domain. They all dip into them depending on how much.
They all have 2, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have 2. So, like, for example, the Rangers' domains are Bone and Sage, whereas the Druids' domains are Sage and Arcana, and they're right next to each other on the.
Because we're both nature-y.
Nature. So pretty cool. Now, domain cards, though. So let's get back to that. So what you would do is you would look at all the level 1 cards for your domain, and then you would choose one. Then you would basically choose the card that you wanted to use there. So I don't know. Oh, sorry. You choose 2 cards. My apologies. Choose 2 level 1 cards, and then you would return all the rest of the domains to the respective decks. Now,
the cards are downloadable on their website.
Yeah, they're downloadable, and
they're listed on page 328. Is that what it said?
There's also a bunch of cards in the book. So if you wanted to, I don't know if this was the PDF was in
328, like Justin.
I thought that's what it said was 328.
I think 328. Yeah, I think 328 was just a list, which is just as good.
No, they're pretty good. The Arcana, they spell it out.
Mm-hmm.
Level 5, level 1. But yeah, you do have to scroll a little bit. Yeah, it's 329 in the PDF, Brent.
Okay, and you get 1 from each, or 1 or 2 from each, or 1 from each.
2. So you have 2 domain cards that you would use, and then of course,
right, 2 domain cards. But is that 1 from each or 2 from both?
I thought it was your choice.
Okay.
Because you basically choose.
So I could choose 2 bone or 2 sage or 1 of each.
Mm-hmm.
But we're taking level 1 ones right now, so looks like there's only 3 level 1s. So that's.
Yeah. So you have. So it's up to you if you want to lean into one domain more than the other. That's
of course.
Fine.
Okay.
And then once that's done, pretty much your character is created, and you're ready to play. Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it wasn't too bad.
I do think that with kind of the extra questions and everything like that, it does remind me very much of the Powered by the Apocalypse game still, where by asking these questions, obviously you create some interesting kind of character connections and story connections and everything like that. And so I think that part can take a little bit longer if you don't necessarily have a strong thought right away to put into there. And I didn't see in the book that it necessarily suggested like leaving it open as much, but I'm sure just like when we played Inevitable, you could leave it open until you have good narrative moments to introduce backstory in that regard too. I just think it might be easier for the game master if you're using the Daggerheart methodology for building a game, that having it up front would help them kind of be able to weave it in.
Yeah.
Okay. If that makes sense. In the traditional sense. Otherwise, that's it. So comments, questions, concerns, anything that threw you guys off about the whole character creation process other than kind of the flipping back and forth on the stuff?
No, nothing really besides that for me. It did make me miss demi-plane because if I remember right, the demi-plane implementation was slick. But I don't have a paid demi-plane subscription, so or whatever it takes to get that. So it wasn't bad. Honestly, it wasn't bad, and I didn't expect it to be either. So
no, and truthfully, like I think with you, if under normal circumstances, you as the player would probably just be looking at your character sheet, since your character sheet has most of what you need there, and then I would be the one flipping back and forth a little bit here and there.
Sure,
because I think that even the character sheets. Yeah, like the character sheets have the background questions, the connections, and then of course example descriptions and stuff like that you can utilize if you'd like. Those kind of things. So
yeah, everything seems pretty well put together.
So so in terms of example character, or it's like the character sheet between this and Mothership. Like Mothership was a really good quick process through their character sheet. I'm curious, I feel like Mothership's character sheet was maybe a little bit more contained than this one was, because it also had less options to really go through.
Yeah, Mothership is a less technical game in general. I mean, it's not as this game's a little bit more crunchy than it's a more crunchy narrative game than Mothership is.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it was like high crunch. I'm going to go with medium crunch so far based on what I've read. I'll just have to see how armor and all that stuff has changed.
It was pretty played. When we played it originally, it was a crunchy game.
Yeah, but now that your armor contributes to your thresholds, that'll be interesting. Yeah. So, alrighty. Well, next week we'll prepare for our Pathfinder adventure inspired adventure. That's the way that goes. And we'll see how this game plays. Now, obviously, the Pathfinder people, I do like Pathfinder. We did play Pathfinder for several months a couple years ago when we were dedicated to the one system in our home game. I liked it. And so if I do make any editorial changes to the setting, it's because we're using Daggerheart. We're incorporating a lot of Daggerheart's features, like Brent running around as a giant fungus. Doesn't seem like would be as normal in Pathfinder, even though there is a fungus race. So we're going to take our own.
It's not a playable race.
It didn't seem very playable because, like, I think when I was looking on the Archive of Nethes, it looked like it was like, oh, and if you go outside, it kills you.
Yeah.
Sunlight is bad. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
But if you want to read up on the Darklands, Brent, there is a lot of lore you could catch up on if you wanted to really give yourself some backstory to work with.
Sure. Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. All righty. Well, with that, I think we're gonna go ahead and call it there. Unless you guys have anything else, and then next week
No,
we'll
I think
play.
that's good.
No, I'll get you the background and experiences.
Yeah, and we may have to ask each other a couple of questions, either in text or email.
Yeah. Or next week at the beginning of the game.
Yep. And so, well, thank you everybody for making it this far. If you want to pick up Daggerheart, I believe physical copies are gone from stores. I read somewhere that Daggerheart sold out. I was surprised because I picked up a physical copy as well, and I picked it up from my local game store, but they have no more. It's gone, all off the shelf, and they didn't let me know when they were planning on carrying some more. So apparently, with Daggerheart all sold off the shelf, you might have to go to, I think you can get it from Drive-Thru RPG, and you can get it from Demiplane and a few other places. So it's easy to find digitally, just maybe more difficult to find physically. Maybe.
I mean, some people may have it. Probably the only thing they can speak to is sold out in warehouses,
Probably.
Like they've shipped all of theirs out, and all their distributors are saying they've shipped all theirs out.
Yeah.
It's much harder to say that, say, 10,000 other locations may have sold out of their 1 or 2 copies that they got in.
Yeah, it's not sold out on their website.
Oh. I was just looking on Amazon to see if you could buy it off Amazon.
Daggerheart corset in stock.
Oh, nice. Well, works for Maiden Press themselves.
Shop Crit Roll is the one that I'm looking at.
Whatever he said. All right, moving on. Jeff, socials.
You can find us on Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, Twitter. We are at Rollwise. You can also email us. We are rollwiseguys@gmail.com.
And thank you again for joining us. We appreciate having you here. Roll well, roll wise, and be safe out there, everybody.
Thanks.
See ya.